Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today. Have you got those stamp sets where you get all these little stamp sets and you just think, what on earth am I meant to do with these? You get your magazine subscription and it comes with this stamp set. You pick up a kit from a shop and it comes with a stamp set. And it's got all these teeny tiny stamps and you're thinking, what do I do with them? So I've got tons of them and I've got loads of stamp sets myself that have these little itty bitty stamps in them. And I just thought, let's make some cards with these tiny stamps and make the most of having them. So you can see how small these stamps are. They're smaller than my nail. So I've got a collection of stamps and I'm going to share with you a fun little idea on how you can make the most of your small stamps. For example, I've got this stamp set here, which you see me use loads of times. It's got those little flowers. I've got this one, which has those little flowers for layering, a little butterfly in this set. Just so many sets with these tiny flowers, and sometimes I just get completely stumped with what to do. I've also got the Snowflakes as well, where I thought this was a really cool stamp set, and then I got it and I was like, oh, I have no idea what to do with it. So it's all about getting creative, and I'm going to share with you a way that we can use up these little stamps and make the most of them and get some really fun, nice little cards out of them. So I've got some layering dies. These are the Nestable dies. Now I've also got a video that I'm going to link to in my description box. It's a video that I've done for Craft World, which is a website that's kind of like Facebook but for crafting. So I did a whole series of cards in this video, which I'm sharing with you now, and they're all using these nesting dies, and they're a really fantastic set of dies for a really great price point. So as you can see, I've also got the surprise creation dies, as I don't yet have the squares and the ovals from the Nestibles. But I went ahead and I purchased the infinity dies. Now, every crafter out there has talked about these infinity dies and how amazing they are. Look at the size of them compared to these other dies. They are not a very good price point, good value. I feel a bit scuppered by them, if that's the right word. They're not that big, but look at these octagons. They are huge, and I don't use the biggest octagons. They don't fit in my machine. But if you take a look at the biggest circle versus the biggest octagon, you can see the size difference. And it was about half the price for the Creative Nestibles. The Creative range, I think, is the value brand range in CraftStash, and CraftStash do ship worldwide. So they are well worth having a look at. I will link all the shapes down below, so all of the different shapes they carry. I'll link them down below. They're fantastic, and I have been using them a lot in my creating, and they are a really good value for money if you're wanting some basic shape dies. They have the same distance between them as the Hero Arts Infinity dies. They're the exact same. Okay, so I'm starting out with these three shapes here. I've got the octagons, the square, and the circle, and I've got a little square piece of card that I cut to 4 by 4 inches, sorry. And I just chose the shapes that fit inside there nicest. Same with this piece here. This is a top panel for a standard UK size card. And I've just picked out, again, the oval and the rectangle that will fit nicely in that shape out of my set of dies. You do not need to have dies to do this technique. I should have said that from the beginning, I'm sorry. You can use whatever you've got in your house. So if you've got some children's toys that are hexagon shaped, grab those. A mug, grab that. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm only using them to trace with. But I wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up on these Nestibles because they're really, really awesome. And I'm going to be investing into buying the rest of the shapes as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this circle one here. And all I'm going to do is trace the circle. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to look a bit ridiculous because I'm going to do that half and then I transfer my pencil over because I'm notorious for wiggling that little shape if I try and do it all with one hand. That's the only reason why I switched to my left hand. My left hand just doesn't really work very well. So really, it takes me a while to think about what I'm doing with those. I'm going to start with this stamp set here, which I've linked down below. It's one of my recent purchases and I have been loving it. I have used it so much. I didn't think I would use it as much as I have, but I have been really enjoying the set. It's a photopolymer set, really good quality, really clear images, and I love the circle sentiments. They're so fun. And you can get the half circle sentiments. So this stamp set works really great with this technique. Now I've got these 3 stamp pads from Stampin' Up. Those 3 colors. I've got a set of sort of 3 purples as well. I just dug through my collection and looked at what I had. I've got these alt new ones. I love these ones. They're like a gradient color. I've been really into my ombre lately. And I've also got some of these Lawn Fawn ones that I ordered from a shop, I think from Seven Tree Hills. Now, I've got my Stampin' Up stamp pads, and the only reason I've got these is because I did Stampin' Up for about 8 years as a demonstrator. Now, I don't do it anymore. I don't purchase their products very much anymore at all. And I'd like to get into some new ink pads, but I have got so many of them that I'm just using what I've got. So I've got these 3 colors, and I am stamping at the 4 sort of corners of this circle. There's no corners. Okay, so I'm going with the top, the bottom, and the sides. There's no rhyme, no reason. I was just trying to work out, could this work and how many flowers will I get in there? So it's kind of a trial and error thing, because I'm not so good with the maths, and I wouldn't be able to work out, I mean, I could measure my stamp and then gauge how many stamped impressions I could get around that circle, but I just went for it because I figured if I mucked up, I'd just get a new piece of cards and just try again. So I'm going with the 4 sort of corners. And then I'm just going with a stamp on either side, and it somehow worked out. So total fluke, it somehow worked out. And again, I'm showing you that stamp set with you because I'm changing over to the butterfly. And I'm going to use those 2 butterflies on my next oval one. So again, I'm going to trace around the inner circle of that oval, and I'm going to use my left hand again. And then I'm just going to go along and stamp my butterflies. And now I've gone with 3 colors. Oh, here's an example why I don't like the Stampin' Up ink pads so much. Their reds tend to do this. I don't know why, but they tend to go all nasty and skanky on the top after not very long. So I like Stampin' Up products. I like the quality, but I found they're very expensive for what they are. And in particular, these ink pads, the red ones, anything with a red color in it, every one of mine looks like that, all bubbly. It still works, but you don't always get a clear stamped image. Right, we're moving on to this stamp set now. Now this one I loved. It just kind of caught my eye. I bought it off of Cardstock, and I really like it. I like the sentiments in it. But I thought, what about these flowers? So I thought, let's use those flowers today. So I'm taking the smallest flowers, and they come with a layer as well. So I thought I'd get out the Alt New inks. There's 4 colors, and I've picked out 3 stamps. You can't see the 3rd one there in the corner, but I've got 3 of the flowers. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to stamp them, and I've ordered them in order of color. So I'm starting with the lightest color first, so that as I go darker, if I have to overlap, it's not going to be as noticeable as if I'm trying to squeeze in one of the lighter ones. Maybe that's totally all in my head. I don't know. That was kind of my thinking as to why I did them in sort of the gradient colors in terms of my stamping. And I've stamped down all those 3. And then I thought, actually, let's go with, we put the little one on to kind of identify the corners. So I kind of stamping that little one in the corners to kind of make it look a little bit more square because it was starting to look a bit circular. Then I pulled out the stamp set, and I've got the layers to go on the top. And I thought, hang on, let's just try the layers, and we'll use that last ink pad and see how that goes. And it looks amazing. I absolutely love this little layering set. And this is a great way to use up those little stamps and kind of get the most out of them. I had a look at which one would fit in the middle of my little square. And now you'll see a classic Sasha oopsie, because I should have used my stamp platform when I did it. But I thought, no, I can stamp central, can't I? But because the words are lined up kind of a bit off, I stamped it to the right instead of central. But it doesn't matter. In the end, when you see the finished card at the very end of the video, you'll see what I mean. It looks great. Now I've got this set, and I love this set. I think it cost me like 50p or a pound. I picked it up on a cracking bargain. I cannot find it anywhere. I've done my best to link it, but I cannot find it. But it has this teeny tiny button set in it. Absolutely tiny, cutest little buttons in there. And I've never used them because I'm like, what am I going to use these teeny buttons for? This is it. This is the card to use them on. And the smaller the stamp, almost the better this works, because I'm using shaped dies to trace. You can use shapes, from around your house. You can cut shapes. You could print out some shapes, cut them, trace them. There's so much you can do. You don't need the dies. But when you go and do this, it's such a fun technique, because the smaller the stamp set, the easier it is to get that shape to show up when you're doing it. Now I'm going to go ahead and use these hexagons. Maybe they're not pentagons. I don't know my shapes very well. I'm using those shapes, the ones you can see there. And now it does look a bit ridiculous because I wanted to establish the corners, so I did one in each color of the little teeny tiny stamp. And it kind of does look a little bit funny in the end. But with my backing paper and the card, the finished card looks really good, I think, and I really enjoy it anyways. This one was a bit trickier because I did run out of little space there at that final last stamp, but because I used a bit of a lighter color or a darker color, it just kind of worked out. It also comes with the outline for these, so I thought I'd stamp the outline on a few of them. Now, here's the part where we're going to erase our pencil marks. You've got to let it dry. Let it dry fully. If you don't let it dry fully, you're going to get it smudging. And I'm taking an eraser that is a very soft kind of eraser, not an old one. If you use an old eraser, you know how sometimes it can kind of just smear the pencil rather than erase it? And look, you can't see the pencil line at all. So here's one where I didn't wait long enough and I kind of smeared that flower just a little bit. Now I did go in with the blue side of the eraser and I sanded it down so you can't even tell anymore that that mark was there. Now for this one, I'm going to share with you how I finished one of the cards, and then I'm going to share the finished products of all of them. So this one, I'm stamping that happy birthday that came with that stamp set, and it works so good. Now I've heat set it because I'm going to emboss in the middle. So I wanted to heat set that black so it didn't smear. I've got Alina's embossing powder. I'll link that down below. It's a really fine embossing powder. She ships worldwide. It's fantastic stuff. I've been using it on all my embossing. I've got my VersaFine embossing ink pad, which is one of the best ones that you can get. And I'm just stamping my butterfly right there in the center, and I'm being smart about it and using a stamping platform. I've got the little embossing buddy, which I rubbed on first. I'll link that down below, as well as the tray that I used. I've had a few people asking me about my tray. I think it's like a bead sorting tray, but you can use it for embossing powders and glitters and things. I'll link it down below as well. I've got this Tonic cardstock. It's really cool textured cardstock. Pretty much all the cardstock that you see backed on all of my cards is a form of Tonic cardstock. So I'll try my best to link them down below for you. And this is the tape that I've got from Craft Stash. They sent me a roll to try out, and I really like it. It's a budget-friendly double-sided adhesive tear tape, and it is really sticky, really sticky. So it's really good. I really like it. I've gone ahead and I cut my card base to fit my card panels that I've created, and I'm just going to go ahead and add some adhesive onto that and stick it onto my base. And I think that's the finished card. So I'm sorry if you can hear a few bits of noise. My kids are downstairs. I've left them to eat dinner. Dad's out. He's having a good time at the football with a friend at the pub. And it's pouring rain next to the window. So there's probably all kinds of background noise. I told the kids, don't fight. I've got to do my voiceover, but I can hear them bickering downstairs, and I can hear a bit of door slamming as well. Never mind. Life as a mom. I've got these Nuvo drops. They're the clear pink glitter Nuvo drops, so they dry, clear, and glittery. And I'm adding those on the corners, and that actually finishes off the card. I forgot that I did that bit. It's always difficult when I do my voiceovers to remember what on earth is coming up next. So that is the finished card for that one there, and I'm going to share with you the rest of my finished cards. So I've got these gems, which I'm going to share with you now. They are a fantastic little sheet of gems. I picked them up on AliExpress, and I'll link them down below, but they seem to match everything I've got, and I kind of go through phases of various things that I use. Sometimes I use Nuvo drops, sometimes I use gems. I'm really all about these gems at the moment, and I use them on pretty much every card. All my card bases and basic card colors are from Lime Tree Crafts, so I'll link their website down below. They're a UK-based paper company, fantastic company. Here's that blue Nuvo glitter paper. It is so gorgeous, and that's that button picture that we created. Now here's the snowflake one, which I didn't share with you, but I did this snowflake card with this beautiful teal blue cardstock from Tonic as my backing layer. And here's the butterflies that we did. I love it. I stuck a little jewel on each butterfly, and it turned out brilliantly. I'm absolutely happy with this one. And my last one is that green one with the hexagons or pentagons, whatever they are, and the really cool leaf pattern in the background is another Tonic cardstock. So I hope you had fun. I hope you feel inspired to dig out those little stamp sets that you've got. Get all those tiny ones out from your kits, from your magazines. Get them all out. Get creative. Find some shapes around your house. Use your dies if you've got them. And just enjoy. And don't forget to check me out on Craft World as well. I'm doing one exclusive video over there a month. You have to be on Craft World to see it. There's no fee to join. It's just a fun little group, and I've got my profile over there. You can find me in the experts section. You scroll down till you see my big old face, and you click on that and you can see the videos that I post over there, and I will also link them in my Facebook group as well. So if you'd like to join my Facebook group, then feel free to do that. I'll link that down below as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy crafting. Bye.